Good morning. It's Thursday, April the 10th. We got home from Florida on Monday the 8th and spent a couple days getting our life around here organized. We got the dock in and, some groceries and just getting life back together so we can move forward. And the boat survived the winter quite well. It was a mild winter. They didn't get a lot of snow here while we were down in the sun, so I was a little concerned about that shelter you can see behind me that protected the boat for the winter, but it did just fine. And yesterday it actually got up to close to 20 or so Celsius, 70 Fahrenheit, so I decided I could do a little glass work. So let me show you what I got into yesterday afternoon. So these are the holding tank, well, the water tank over there, the holding tank over here. They will be down in the V of the hull under the floor, and I think it's a great place for them. Lots of space, and it's low center of gravity, getting it right down in the bottom. So these tanks were finished last fall on the inside and stored in the houseboat, and the tops were also finished and stored in the houseboat. So yesterday Lisa and I brought them out of the boat, out through the back door there and into the garage here. Now before they could come in the garage, I had our 20-foot cuddy was stored right where these are, so I got it out of here yesterday. And yes, it couldn't go out the door that was in front of it because there's a houseboat there, so I had to get it out this other door, which required, thankfully it's got a wheel on the tongue jack, so I was able to roll it around and jiggle it back and forth, jockey it over until I was able to get out the other door. There's our granddaughter's race car body. I guess that's another, not a job for me, but a job that has to happen before race season starts in a month. But anyway, back to the houseboat. So yeah, once I got this side of the garage cleared out, I was able to bring these tanks in, and it was warm enough that I was able to mix up a little thickened resin to put in the seam between the lid and the bottom, and then set it onto it and staple it down. And now I will router that top edge. All the other corners have been routed already, but I'll router the top edge, and then it'll be ready to fully encase them in glass. So once they're finished, then I can put them in the boat under the floor so they're out of my way and one step out of the way. And then soon I'm going to start working on the interior. Oh, I should have turned the light on in here. But anyway, I have a light set up there. Just have to run an extension cord, and it actually lights it up pretty nice in here. So another job I'm going to do today. Yes, today is rainy and cool. It's only in the mid-40s, 8 Celsius. And so no fiberglass is happening today. So yeah, I've got the foam mattress material for our bed and our dinette that converts to a bed. So I'm going to cut those pieces into their actual sizes just so it's easier to store. Get them out of here. So I can lift up this plywood that's only temporarily fastened down with a few screws just to give me a place to work. Get the plywood out of here, get the tanks mounted properly and plumbed, and then I'm going to water test everything. Much as I'm confident nothing leaks, I want to make darn sure before I bury it. And then I'll be able to start building partitions and working on the inside of this boat, turning it into a good living space. Every time I come in here, though, I just think we're going to be so comfortable in here. This is quite a large area, and I know the layout will work nice, and it'll be very comfortable cruising. So all on one level for us old people. So really looking forward to that. All right, so yesterday I got a coat of thinned resin on the tanks. I rolled them up on their side so I could do the bottoms, undersides, and then I put them down where they're sitting and did the rest of them. And now I just finished putting a coat of cloth on the tops of the tanks, and I'm hoping in a couple of hours they'll have set up, and then I can flip them over onto the horses and do the bottoms and sides of the tanks. So they'll be, the ends I already did when I did the interiors because I had all these fittings, so I did the ends inside and out while I was doing the interiors. So now I'm doing the long surfaces and wrapping 3 inches around the corners onto the ends, so everything's really well sealed up. So yeah, so hopefully in a couple of hours I can flip these over and do the undersides, and then they'll be totally encased in fiberglass inside and out, and then ready to put down into the bilge of the boat after I put one more coat of resin on the underside, just in case there's any moisture in the hull, you know, water passing through, that it'll be sealed up good and waterproof so nothing gets into the wood. That's the plan. I've relieved the corner, the bottom corner here. It's got quite a large radius, so the theory is the water could just, where's my finger? Water could just trickle down between the keel and the bottom of the boat, could trickle down that corner and get through from the front of the boat to the back, because the boat should sit lower in the rear with all the weight of the engine and gas tank and all that. So just wanted to leave a little passage that any water that maybe gets splashed up under the front deck, or I don't know, any other way you might ever get water in the hull, that it'll have a passage through to the back without these tanks blocking its way. So that's the plan, that there will be a little bit of a void there for the water to slide on through. The holding tank and water tank are in place in the floor of the boat. They fit perfectly. You know, it's one of those things, you want to maximize the space, but it would be a sad day if I built them and then went to set them in and they wouldn't slip in there. So thankfully they do. I could have made it a 1/4 inch bigger, but that would have been flirting with trouble. And yeah, they're sitting right down in the bilge of the boat. And next thing I'm going to do is hook all the plumbing up to them and fill them, water test them, make sure I obviously don't think there will be any leaks. I have done everything I can to make sure that that won't be the case. So in under the Trent, or into the back deck here in the engine compartment, there's the outlet for the, that's an extension cord, there's the outlet for the pump out for the holding tank over on the far side, and then on the inner side closer to me here there's 3 fittings. One will be a tap to drain the tank, one will be the line up to the water pump, and one is my plan for a level indicator. I'm just going to put a piece of clear hose. I know it will put air in it, you know, or have air trapped in it, so it won't maybe rise fully to the top, but I'll either figure out what full is, or I'm not sure. I'm going to give it a shot, see how it works. If it doesn't work, I can improvise, modify, but no, I'm thrilled. I've got both tanks sitting in the floor, so it makes good use of some lost space in the hull of the boat. And they're 70 US gallons each. My calculations say 70.5. We'll call it 70. And yeah, so that's pretty good capacity for water and holding tank, considering only the toilet will go into the holding tank. I'm using an RV toilet, so it's a standard 3-inch drain pipe, just like a house, rather than a marine toilet with the pump. I toss back and forth whether to put a marine toilet in or an RV toilet. We just spent 10 days on a sailboat down in the BVI, British Virgin Islands, with a marine toilet, and I've had plenty of experience with them in years gone by, but it was a bit of a refresher for me to spend days pumping the toilet. And I don't know that they use any less water than an RV toilet, because sometimes you do a lot of pumping to get things to go on through, and I feel like the RV toilet might work as good or better, and it sure is a whole lot more convenient to just step on the foot pedal and let it go than do a bunch of pumping. So that's the plan. So I got the plumbing, some of the plumbing hooked up to the tank. I've got the vent line for the holding tank going back to the back of the boat. I considered venting it right here close. It would obviously be a lot less distance to travel, but my concern is if it's smelly, which it very well could be, and it vents out the side with a window right here and a window right here, we might be smelling that in the boat. So I'm running it all the way to the back of the boat, and it can vent out back where it will be less likely to be an issue. And I've got the water fill going, and I now see that I need to shut the water off because it's filling up the pipe and time to stop. So where was I? Yeah, I filled the holding tank first, and then I was filling the water tank, and then I noticed that it was starting to come up the vent line, so I figured I better shut it off. I'm here by myself today. Lisa's gone to visit her mother in the hospital, so I don't have anyone on the other end of the hose to turn the tap off when I say now. So I'm me at both ends. So I kept giving another 15 seconds at a time, and I've got it to, where did I see the water line? Oh yeah, right there. And in the vent it's at the same level, obviously. And yeah, so the tank is full. And so far, I see no evidence of any leakage or seepage at any of my joints, either where it connects into the tank with the plumbing fittings or the hose clamps and such, and the PEX clamps and everything. So that's all good news. And back under the back deck here, I've got get back down into the bilge. So there's the holding tank connection, and it's nice and dry. And oh, that's not good. There's a dribble of water. Where's that coming from? I guess I better investigate. I don't like the look of that.